This is Mirabella's Kitchen, and today I'm making blackened chicken and coleslaw. If you'd like to cook with me, please check the description below for lists of the ingredients and a shout out to my patrons. I take 1/2 stick of unsalted butter and I melt it over very low heat for very slow melt. And while it melts, I'm going to start preparing some coleslaw. I take 1/2 head of purple cabbage and I very thinly slice it and place it into a large mixing bowl. A little Zuko investigating. I also take 1/2 head of green cabbage and I thinly slice it, add it to the mixing bowl. I take 1 large carrot, I peel the skin, and then I use my peeler to just peel very long strips of carrot. You can also thinly slice it, I just chose to take this route. I then take my knife and I just pile it in a pile and I put some just big rough chops into it so it's not these long strips of carrot in the coleslaw. I also take about 1/4 cup of Italian parsley. I remove the stem and I roughly chop it and add it to the mixing bowl. So I cut up 1/2 a large red onion and thinly sliced it for the coleslaw. I added 1 cup of white sugar and 1/2 cup of coarse kosher salt, and I forgot to press record on my camera again. So I let that sit for about 5 minutes after I give it a nice toss so everything's evenly coated in the sugar and salt. Now I'm gonna get the marinade for the chicken going. I take the very slowly melted butter, add it to a mixing bowl. I add 2 teaspoons of paprika. I add 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. About 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, and 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of coarse kosher salt, and I whisk that together until it is homogeneous. I then take 2 chicken breasts, boneless, skinless. I remove some of the excess fat and then I thinly slice each chicken breast into 2 pieces. I then coat both sides of the chicken in the marinade and let it sit for 20 minutes. I put it in the fridge. I do not recommend that. It got really thick and clumped up and didn't stick to the chicken when I took it out. It's only 20 minutes. It'll be sitting at room temp and that's totally okay to leave at room temp so the butter doesn't re-thicken. After about 5 or so minutes, I take the coleslaw, I put it into a colander. I rinse off the salt and sugar from the coleslaw. And then I put it onto a sheet tray that has 3 layers of paper towels. Put it into a thin layer and then I cover it with 3 additional layers of paper towel so that it can absorb some of the moisture that is being drawn out of the vegetables. While that is drying, I take 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, 3 tablespoons of white sugar, about 1 tablespoon of freshly ground black pepper, 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, and 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. I add that into a small mixing bowl and I whisk that together until it is homogeneous. This is the dressing for the coleslaw. I add the coleslaw into a very large mixing bowl, my biggest one, and then I add in the coleslaw dressing. I give it a toss, and then I'm going to let it rest in the fridge until it's time for dinner. I take my stainless steel pan, heat it over medium-high heat. I melt about 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter in it. I chose to use stainless steel because I don't own cast iron, but this would really be better in a cast iron pan to really make it blackened chicken. I take the chicken and put 2 pieces into the pan once the butter is mostly melted, and don't do what I'm doing and taking some of the marinade and trying to stick it on top. It really just stayed clumped and didn't evenly coat the top of the chicken when I flipped it, and it's just kind of patchy at points. So again, mind blown that I should have been leaving it at room temp for the 20 minutes I let it marinate. And little training session with Zuko in between chicken. A good boy. So the chicken takes about 7 minutes or so to get to that blackened color. Some of my pieces weren't as blackened as the rest of them, but both sides about 7 minutes, and then I let it rest for 5. I slice the chicken up and I add a few slices to a plate. I then add a spoonful of coleslaw. Squeeze a little lime juice over the top of the chicken. And a dollop of sour cream. Those are optional toppings. And that's my blackened chicken with coleslaw. Thanks for joining me today. I make new videos on cooking every Thursday. Please support me on Patreon and on Facebook at Mirabella's Kitchen.